Welcome back to The Road to Doomsday, the MCU Rewatch show brought to you by the Nerd Academy podcast, Accept No Substitute. I am your host, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me, as always, on The Road to Doomsday is the lovely Miss Taylor.
Hello.
And we are here with our first movie of Phase 4, the highly anticipated and interesting to talk about in a pop cultural, like, what was going on in the world sense, Black Widow. Very, very excited to talk about this one for many, many reasons. Lots to unpack. But before we jump into the meat and potatoes, as it were, a brief word from our sponsors over at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse with their 3-time award-winning spicy mix as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice isn't for you. This former bartender trusts only one Bloody Mary mix, and that is Sunday's, the only mix better than a from-scratch Bloody. If you want to shake up your Bloody Mary game for the rest of your days, use the link in the description down below and use the code TNAP, TNAP, at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Miss Taylor?
You know what, Jarod?
What?
I'll actually ask you.
Yeah?
Jarod?
Yeah?
Where were you for Black Widow?
Well, we're not there yet.
Oh, I thought it was...
We have trivia to get through.
Oh, shit.
And for our first trivia question, Melina Vostokov goes by what name in the comics as a Black Widow villain?
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't remember.
I'll give you a hint. Classic metal band. Iconic album covers. I swear to God, if you were about to say, oh, she's Metallica.
Oh, she's Guns N' Roses? It's not AC/DC.
It is not AC/DC. You were so close. You were in the pocket. You were in the neighborhood.
Give it up.
That would be Iron Maiden.
Okay. That would make sense. That makes sense as a name.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses? The Rolling Stones? Oh wait, metal band, not
True or false? At the time of its release, Black Widow is the only MCU hero to appear in all phases, so at the time, phase 1 through 4, in a movie.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
So, depending on how you count it, kind of a trick question. Technically false, because Hawkeye has a voice cameo and appears on Val's tablet, which he's giving Yelena the hit.
No, that doesn't count. That does not count.
I was saying, if you don't count that, then true. Natasha Romanoff is the only
that doesn't count
MCU character to appear in all 4 at the time phases. What does Red Guardian have a tattoo of on his right shoulder? It's funny, I actually knew about this one.
I don't know.
I was laughing because he kept pointing out so many of his tattoos, but not this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is a rose, and around the rose, in Russian, are the names Natasha and Yelena.
Aw, that's cute.
And for your last
question, it Melena? Is the one on his collarbone Melena?
I'm not sure where exactly. I know it's on his shoulder.
It's right here.
Like in this region. Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah. And for your last question, what is the name of Black Widow's fixer in the movie?
Mason. I waited. I was like the whole movie. I was like, do we know this man's name?
So
who is he?
A little peek behind the curtain. We watched the movie last night. We were going to record immediately after, and then Taylor's
My
eye
eyeball fell out of my head.
ape shit. She almost had it. She almost suffered from Chiquiti syndrome.
My
And
eyeball like fell out of my head. It was crazy.
I was like, oh, if we're gonna punt to tomorrow night, I'm gonna see if she forgets the name of the fixer.
Mm-mm. Never gonna forget that, man. Because the whole movie, I was like, I don't think she has at all once called this man by his name. She just kicks his boot as he's sleeping twice to wake him
Yeah,
up. And the other time he is already awake when she sees him. And like they need no introduction, apparently. But like I did. I wanted to know who he was.
I want to know the nature of their relationship so badly, only because he
That's a little
talks about
flirty.
he talks about like you're running up your tab.
Mm-hmm.
Your tab is gonna run out here soon, implying to me that he owes her a great deal. That he's just kind of on the house doing a lot of fixer shit for her.
Or he is just letting her slide until she gets money. She comes into money.
To which I say, how the fuck much does Natasha owe Mason by the end of the movie? Forget everything else he does for her. The goddamn Quinjet.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what he
How
says at the
much
end.
does that run her for him to get
I
her
can. He
like
said, "This
a
is what you
like
get whenever you give
secondhand
me time
Quinjet?
and money."
Like for me, it's the Quinjet. Like I don't care about the chopper or the fake IDs or the burner phones or the Winnebago she's camped out in Norway. I don't care about any of that. I want to know what the process was for getting a secondhand like black market Quinjet.
Oh,
And
Shield
second of
had
all,
them.
how the hell was a Quinjet on the black market?
Shield had them, and then Shield fell, and then there was a lot of time, and then well, we don't have the blip yet, but like you do have the Shield fell, Hydra fell, so yeah, there's probably a lot of shit just out there and about.
I know, but a Quinjet is a lot.
I don't think so because again, think about in Winter Soldier how many like Quinjets Bucky Barnes destroys on his way out. He kicks a
Sure,
man through one.
I just kind of assumed like the Avengers compound had like a lot of the Quinjets that were left.
Oh no, I don't think that's the thing is that everybody had Quinjets. Like every organization had Quinjets. Shield had Quinjets, Hydra had Quinjets.
That's just crazy. That's just
I'm
crazy to
and
me that he
I'm
got
sure
his hands on a goddamn
because
Quinjet.
Shield was so fucky wucky that Quinjets would just go missing periodically, and it would land in the hands of like drug kingpins and gangs and shit like that. Because,
That's so terrifying to think about. I don't
like I
want El
said,
Chapo to have shield weaponry.
that's what I mean. Is that
We're going
like you?
back to Spider-Man Homecoming of like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
going
no,
on
that's
here?
exactly it. Like think about that, like the Department of Damage Control, how much shit that they would just have floating around.
And to
Think
your
about that
point, I'm sure it
entire
only got
vault.
worse after the blip. I'm
Oh
sure it
yeah,
only
because
got
think
worse
about that
after the
vault.
blip.
Like think about the vault that Spider-Man, like that Peter was stuck in, was just full of Chitauri stuff and
Yeah,
alien stuff and
sorry,
everything like
Chitauri,
that.
Ultron,
Hydra,
Hydra.
everything.
Yeah,
Think just there's no way in 5 years somebody like they didn't fucking bust the door down.
that's
Like
wild.
there's no way because there was people who would have worked there are still left. Like only half of the population died, so half of the employees got
Yeah.
blipped. So the other half know that this place exists, and that shit's just sitting there. And half of the like, nobody cares about rules anymore. Like at least for the first probably 6 months after the blip, there are no
Sure.
rules.
Like I said, I when this movie came out, that's all I could think about was how the fuck did he get his hands on a Quinjet? And I don't want to think about Quinjets being on the black market.
I think they are easier to come by than you'd imagine.
Maybe. But for a
Again,
little
even
bit
think
of
about Ulysses
background,
Claw. Like that's what he did. He was just dealing shit left and right.
but for a little bit of background, after the smash success of the MCU and the popularity of the Black Widow, audiences are ready for a solo adventure with the spy slash assassin. Despite the barriers set by the incredibly repressive Ike Perlmutter, internally, Marvel also had wanted to tell a story about Natasha Romanoff. Early on, Joss Whedon expressed interest in directing the project
I
before he stepped
bet
away
he
from the
did.
MCU, and Scarlett Johansson was also interested in doing it so long as it could be a full fledged standalone story. Now, I want to touch on this briefly. Again, we've all talked about Joss Whedon, complicated legacy, deeply disappointing individual. Angel's one of my favorite TV shows of all time,
Buffy
and
is
I just gotta hold that.
amazing.
Like all of that. I can't help but wonder what version of Joss Whedon we would have gotten with a Black Widow movie.
I think it would have been I'm a monster because I can't have kids.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I think if you give Joss Whedon the runway to do a whole story about Nat, I think we get more Buffy and less Age of Ultron Nat. You know what I mean? I think, like, again, like Joss Whedon has that weird thing where it's like sometimes he's like one of the better men to write and direct women, and sometimes it's
I
Nat in
like,
Age of Ultron.
yeah,
Like,
no,
I
that
just there that is a what that is on the long list
because you took a
of
character
what
that
if
he was
movies.
building up. You know what I mean? Like he was building Natasha. He built her in the like. You know what I mean? That's why I can't. You know, I can't get down.
But there's also a part of me, and again, like this isn't a defense of his legacy, but just in or his misconduct, I should say, and his bad behavior. But like with Whedon, I think we get some of Nat, so like some of the best Nat moments. And I think Whedon was really good at directing Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Like
Who was the
again,
director on Black Widow?
I'm glad we got the version we got, and I don't want to add more to Joss Whedon's legacy for it to be tainted by his bad behavior. But like you said, this is on that list of like, oh, what if this version of a movie got made? I would be curious to see. Like if I had a TVA tempad and I could go into different realities, this is like one of those, like I've already seen goddamn Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4, and I've already seen Batgirl, and I've gone
A
back
movie
and I
that was
watched
finished.
the versions of the prequels that had Tupac and Leonardo DiCaprio. Like eventually I'm gonna be like, what was the Joss Whedon Black Widow movie like? Because this is one of those situations where I think it either ends up being a seminal like comic book movie, or it is unforgivably bad, and it maybe jumpstarts the downfall of Joss Whedon sooner than it happened if this movie can come out in like phase 2, phase 3. Not the point. I just wanted to talk about that.
I forgot Miraja was still my
Your StreamYard picture.
my avatar. Yeah.
Luminous Odyssey on the Remaining Systems YouTube channel. The decision was made to give Black Widow an encore of sorts to send her off after her sacrifice in Avengers Endgame, giving Marvel the time to tell the story that they wanted to tell. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, get used to hearing that, folks, Black Widow had a day and date release, the first of its kind for the MCU, being sent to theaters and Disney Plus the same weekend, being available to rent for $30 on Disney Plus. Shortly after its release, Scarlett Johansson filed a lawsuit against Disney for the unconventional release, allegedly breaching her contract, stating the film would be exclusive to theaters. Disney refuted her claim, saying she was being insensitive about the current state of the world and the circumstances that caused the movie to be released in this
Of
way.
course they said that.
A number of unions and guilds backed Scarlett Johansson's play, and eventually the matter was settled in arbitration under undisclosed terms, and Scarlett Johansson got $40 million out of it. That was, I believe, on top of a $20 million salary for the film.
Well, because yeah, her bonus would have been impacted based on the movie's performance in theaters specifically.
To wit, Black Widow had an estimated budget ranging between $200 and $286 million and made $379.7 million at the traditional box office. So made its money back a little bit. Like it made the money back and it made a bit of a profit. It also made $125 million on Disney Plus Premiere.
Wow. So it was about 400 million.
Closer to 500 million, about 500 million. Which again, this is the beginning of like the MCU box office conversations becoming really complicated and weird.
Well, because
Because
all box office situations become complicated and weird when you're dealing with a global pandemic.
right, and as we know, we talk about it all the time on Nerd Academy. there's a reason why I don't get super bogged down with box office discussions, because I don't care. Like, the only reason why it's part of the background segment is I think it's like like it's part of the background information. I think it also kind of paints a picture as to just how culturally dominant the MCU is, and how it speaks to just the ubiquity of this franchise, that it is, as I and many have said, the answer to Star Wars, um, in terms of that ubiquity. Um, Pardon me. But I think that this is where we also get into that position of the box office never truly bounced back. The box office has been kind of living a half life since COVID. There were
On
a
top of,
handful
yeah,
of
the behavior of moviegoers now because kids don't know how to act in public.
there's that. There's also the fact that because streaming exists, this is a conversation. This is a conversation I've had with people I work with who constantly talk about how they love to be there. They used to love to be there opening night for a Marvel movie. Who have like big families, and they're like, it's just expensive. And if I can wait a few months and I'm not super online,
Yeah.
or hell, not even a few months, a month or so, it will be on Disney Plus. I have a gigantic TV. I have a bitchin' sound system, and I can pause it and pee and refill my snacks without missing a beat.
America
Um,
needs to institute an intermission. When I was in Europe, they had intermissions in the middle of the movie, and trust me, you think it's gonna suck. It really doesn't. It is great for everybody involved.
institute intermissions, find a way to bring down costs of going to the movies. It's just one of those situations where, like, people like to portray box office success or failure in a way that is
It's very
kind of a
black and white.
self-fulfilling
Yeah.
it's black and white and self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, we take something again, and this is in the quote unquote woke era of the MCU, where every movie is a lady or a person of color or they're gay and I hate it. Where it's like, oh, these movies are underperforming. Therefore, this is proof that the audience agrees with like fandom menace type arguments, and that's why people aren't going to the theater. As opposed to, these are characters with less name cachet. You
Yeah.
know, theaters are expensive, everything is expensive, and there's a pandemic. Like, there's all of these extenuating circumstances that I think harm the conversation around Marvel. And this is the point in time where the MCU has truly gotten to that point where we have crested over. I talk about it all the time, the self fulfilling prophecy of it will never be better than Endgame. It'll never be better than the Infinity Saga. So now that we've convinced ourselves that it can never get to those heights ever again,
And it
we are
never will.
going. It never will, because I don't think it can.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I harp so much on the box office here is I think it's emblematic of the way that the conversation just gets objectively worse, and that Marvel has gotten so big that now it's popular to root against it.
Oh yeah. I mean, Taylor Swift. Everybody hates
Yeah.
somebody who everybody loves. You know,
Look at the
it's cool
Mandalorian right now. Look at the
cool to
Mandalorian and
hate.
Grogu.
It's cool to hate on something if everybody loves it. Then you are not like other girls. You're against the grain.
Yeah. It's the mix of the contrarianism, that like contrarianism can be a substitute for meaningful opinions. It's also, I think, a little bit of it is like the weird sense of toxic nostalgia. I've said it before and I will say it until the day I die. The MCU fan base managed to do to itself in 1 year, in that 1 year of 2020 where nothing was coming out, which Star Wars fans took a decade to do. Twice now. And quite frankly, I think we're on the precipice of doing it thrice, which is deeply disappointing and frustrating that every new generation of a gigantic story, franchise, IP, whatever, is going to, sorry, I slapped my microphone, is going to be hell bent on destroying the thing. But anyway, Taylor, you had a question for me at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, Jared. I do have a question for you. It's really
Yeah.
important to me personally. Um, Give me 1 second. I just want to look you in the eye.
Where'd she go? Oh, there she
Hey,
is.
Jared,
Hey, yeah.
where were you when you saw Black Widow?
I see. I was hoping that I would get to ask you this because if
No.
I can't answer this question honestly without getting it wrong. Technically, where was I when I first saw Black Widow? I was with my brother and my dad. Where was I the second time I saw Black Widow? On my second date with you. With this lovely lady here. It was our second date going to see Black Widow. This is the first Marvel movie we saw together. Um, and last night, those of you who listen to the audio commentary tracks will know I kind of like start randomly laughing in the middle of the audio commentary. Um, and that was because I remembered there is, it's not there anymore. Granted, it's like a local chain, so there's one close to our house, so I'm not too much in mourning of it. Um, there's a local wing sandwich shop chain in the area called Big Shot Bob's House of Wings, and it's one of my favorite places. It's my
It's
favorite
voted the
sandwich,
best. It's voted on almost every municipality one of the best wing spots where they are, and there's like one in every municipality.
and it's great, and I love it. And it is
For people
delightful.
who don't know, municipalities in Pennsylvania are like counties. We have some counties where but they're smaller. They're little.
Yeah. Um, but we went to the one near the movie theater that I used to go to, and right after the movie, and I was praying that the one manager wouldn't be there because friend of the show, former Nerd Academy contributor Levi, um, used to work there for a bit,
Shout out
and we
lazy.
would I would go in with Levi to get lunch and hang out, and because I was sitting there with Levi. His manager would just sit down with us, and instead of Levi and I being able to enjoy our meal and talk, we would just spend the entire time being talked at by his manager.
Hmm.
And I came in and I was like, please God, let her not be here. And she
You'll
was
never
there.
guess. Yeah, she sure
And
was.
uh and she just completely invaded our date for the middle chunk of it. And I was in a weird
The
position
entire time we were there.
the entire time we were there.
The entire time we
I
were
don't
at
even
the
remember.
thing.
I know she said some like wildly
Oh,
over
for
the line
sure.
things,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and not even like over the line, but just like I miss when we
I
kept
don't
secrets
know
type
you,
shit.
but like also, yeah, I miss. Yes, yes.
I don't even
I
remember
miss
what
when
it
we
was.
kept
I
secrets.
remember being
On it,
wildly
it was about her
uncomfortable.
family. It was definitely about like either nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever. Something about how their parent ain't taking care of them. It was crazy.
It was that. It was definitely that. I don't remember a single detail, but I remember being in this weird position where I've said before. I say it in the ads every episode. I'm a former bartender. I tended bar for 3 years. My mom's a bartender. My mom has been a restaurant manager. My mom has been in the service industry for basically as long as I can remember. And I have always grown up with a strong sense of you can tell a lot by a person by how they speak with service industry workers. And Taylor knew I was a bartender,
Mhm.
um, but I also was like, I don't know how prescient in her mind it is, and I don't know how pointedly I can tell this person to go the fuck away without coming across as somebody who's disrespectful to their server. So I kind of had to roll with the punches and find a way to like finesse us out of it. Um,
And
but
he
yeah,
could not. It she remained for the
and
entire time.
she who remains. But if I remember correctly, was it when we saw Black Widow when I like accidentally straight donkey kicked our popcorn
Yes.
and I just made a massive mess? Yeah,
Yes.
I was like,
Because I was wearing my satin outfit, and I was actually worried that I was like, oh God, there's gonna be butter all over me, and I'm not gonna be able to get it out of this outfit.
and I like set it on the ground and then I went to get up and just boom, like punted it
And the
straight back.
whole, yeah, everywhere, everywhere.
But yeah, So
Yeah, because it was the second time, like our second date, and the second time you did something hugely embarrassing.
yeah, I mean, I didn't do anything too embarrassing on the first date.
I mean, you told me a lot of things that were hugely embarrassing.
I told you a story that was deeply funny, and now I'm living in your house. Um,
That is true, but that is not a key to success, viewers. Please don't.
but enough of that. See, this is the
Don't
other.
follow Jared's advice on
Here's the
everything.
other issue with this. By the way, is where were you when you saw blank? Is kind of a segment that doesn't exist anymore unless we have a
No.
guest. Because from this point on, we've seen. I knocked my water bottle over.
Oh, it sounded like glass breaking, and I was like,
No, just my
Jared,
water bottle fell over.
dogless.
We're good. From this point on, we have seen all of these movies at the same time, at the same place, every time. So
Together.
together. But so let that be a marker of from this point on,
No,
we've seen all
actually,
these movies.
Jared, you're wrong about that because there is one movie that we will be talking about where we were when it happened. Shouts out Eternals.
Yeah. But anyway,
Shouts out Eternals.
um, anyway, jumping into this, we talked a lot on the Endgame episode about like trying to unpack complicated feelings about.
About fridging.
I still don't necessarily consider it fridging. I don't consider
The
that one
only
fridging.
reason he doesn't die is because he has kids and a wife. If she had any family, be, she would not have, like, there would have been too much that we needed to know.
I don't know. I think
She's also an infinitely more popular character.
which lends to it being a reeling fucking blow for the audience when she's gone.
Understand, but
Either way, I don't want to relitigate the fridging necessarily, but just like watching Avengers Endgame, having seen Black Widow,
mm,
like we can't do this experiment while like deleting our memories of these movies.
yeah, naturally.
So like we can't watch Avengers Endgame in the big 2-6 without our knowledge of Black Widow.
Yeah.
And we were both kind of like there's so many things here that we feel like had this movie come out in phase 3, at least there could have been. And for me, and I said this in the audio commentary and I said I'd elaborated in the episode, so I'm going to. I think for me, one of the like pieces of baggage that I take with me into this movie is unfortunately nothing to do with this movie and none of this movie's fault. It is everything to do with like certain ways the MCU moved throughout its key players and its key institutions
Mm-hmm.
that I'm left kind of I don't maybe miffed is the right word.
Miffed.
Like I don't know how you fit it in, and I know there's budgets and there's contracts, and a lot of actors at this point are really expensive because they know their worth as artists and
Also
know that
because Marvel exponentially multiplied their career and cost
right. But I'm still
itself.
saying
Like it's a snake eating its own. Like you can't propel somebody to like triple A plus 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 status
right.
and then be like, why aren't you cheaper?
Right, especially when you're carrying a massive, massive franchise on your back.
And again, Marvel propelled them into like the MCU propelled these actors to this level.
But and again, I understand all the logistical reasons why it couldn't happen. There is a part of me that to this day wishes there was an Avengers movie between Age of Ultron and Infinity War.
Yeah, same. I agree. I totally
There
agree.
is a part of me that wishes we got the Secret Avengers and it was some type of story about the Avengers being on the run. And
In
granted,
between what two movies? Yeah, okay, yeah.
between basically in between Civil War and Infinity War,
Yeah.
basically to do a story. And granted, you can cut cost because love him dearly, love his performance dearly. The biggest fucking paycheck in the room being RDJ.
Yeah.
You don't have to have Downey in the movie. because it can focus on the event. It can be cat like Steve and Sam and Nat.
Yeah, King
Uh,
Cap,
yeah,
and with features maybe from the other Avengers who like have softened hearts in some ways on certain things.
Wanda obviously in there as well,
Oh yeah, no,
who does not
fucking
cost as much as the others quite yet.
yeah, except
Um,
for CGI.
but still, like there was a part of me, and I don't even know what that story would be. Like maybe it's a
It
story
could
about
be like more
AIM.
ground level, like
Yeah,
very simplistic. You know, a like we don't get the Serpent Society in Brave New World, but like, hey, how let's throw those guys here, or like
right,
AIM, or like some other some other small organization, or other like I don't know, like in that time period would a villain like the Purple Man be? How fascinating would that be? You know what I mean? Like there are certain like characters that were developed later that like could have been very cool large scale villains, even though that like because of the acting choices they pick in casting, they obviously like David Tennant as the Purple Man is a different story than anybody else as that character. You
right,
know what I mean? Like they elevate like
and
act
arguably way too much to put in a movie,
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just like I'm
just in
throwing
terms
out
of
like
tone and theme. But
again, but I'm just throwing out like, hey,
no, for sure.
what if we went with that like X instead of Z?
Right.
And
So many Avengers villains you could do. So many
again, even like
so many like
AIM,
Captain America villains, or like AIM has become the AIM we know, and maybe you put MODOK here instead of doing the weird yellow
or you
jacket
don't
MODOK.
even do the
Or
MODOK here. You just have AIM as an entity that continues like they defeat them, but an end credit scene shows that one guy still is out. You know what I mean? Like something like that where
sure.
we
I,
leave a door open.
it was just something I thought this way back. Like I thought this in the 20 teens, where I wish we got to get a story about the Avengers being on the run, the Avengers being fugitives. It was one of the few things that I've always kind of been like, about with Avengers Infinity War is I wish we got to spend more time with what does it mean now that Captain America is
Is a
literally a
fugitive from
source
the
of validation.
law.
Like I want to get a little bit of these outlaw superheroes, and who do you pit them against, and all of that, so we can get time living in that reality where the Avengers are disbanded and they're kind of doing and again the Secret Avengers are their own thing. Um, and then you can slot a Black Widow movie in there potentially, and I just I'm rambling. This movie kind of like gets my goat a little bit because this is such a good look at what a Secret Avengers story could have been like,
Absolutely.
you know, and
Well, even with the Red Room, even with like characters like Bucky, the Winter Soldier, like they open up so many doors that like
and you bring me to my next point, which is because of the way that Hydra and Shield are depicted in the MCU, and in the way that Hydra and Shield, quite frankly, Shield to a greater extent, kind of die in the crib.
yeah,
And I've said before that's one of my big complaints about the MCU is I love Shield. I love the big espionage, like it's a helicarrier and Nick Fury is this savant spy tactician, and I just love that stuff so much, and it kind of broke my heart to see it go so early. But
because it
then
was
like the
so
exist
undercooked.
it's not even that it was undercooked. I just loved it. I just wanted more. I didn't want
Well,
it to
no,
go
that's
away.
what I mean is that like it feels undercooked in the way that like there are so many possibilities, so
Right.
many unchecked boxes, so many doors that were left unopened.
And I find myself looking at something like the Red Room as it's depicted here, and I just the part of my nerd brain goes off where I'm like, and Shield and Hydra knew nothing about this. They knew nothing about this. Fucking the Red Room, Dracov's army, like low key steals
Shield
Hydra's
shit.
lunch money
Yeah.
because they're messing with like the Winter Soldier program to get the like
The
chemical
widows.
subjugation mind control
Well,
shit.
not only that, but also the widow's like diluted strength that comes straight from Bucky. Like that at least in the comics, has always come from Bucky and his blood, like his blood, his DNA, and everything like that.
Yeah. And like, and it's not
Because he
necessarily,
was the only one who survived.
yeah. And I don't know. These are one of those instances where it's like, I really wish Shield and Hydra did not become one and the same. I really wish Shield didn't die. I really wish Hydra didn't fully go away. And there's also one of those moments where it's like, I wish Hydra was like a fucking Nazi organization,
Yeah,
because like then you can make an argument for Hydra to be way more underground, way less embedded. So you have the ability to show like Hydra is really doing its own thing, and like the Red Room and Hydra, like there's a part of me that goes, either these two things should be connected or they should be so far away from each other they don't know about each other. Or they hear whispers, but they know if they try to even step onto the other one's turf even a little bit, it's going to cause a problem that drags them both into the light, and neither one can afford that. And I just, like I said, like the whole, like, oh yeah, like we interfered with the Winter Soldier program. And like, there's a part of me that just, like this movie could, like, there's so much this movie could have done if it happened a little bit sooner. And there's so much more that could have been done with so many of these characters if these gigantic institutions in S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra were not kind of cut out of the narrative, in my opinion, way too
yeah.
prematurely. And that is just a gripe I've had. I don't even know how I fix it, how I change it, but it's just something I deeply feel. But that gripe out of the way, Taylor, I would like to ask you, overall, I know you have been hot and cold on Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff's characterization throughout the MCU. There's stuff you love, there's stuff you don't love. How does Natasha land here? And like I said earlier, the background, kind of this encore that she gets to have after, um, kind of like a send off, almost eulogizing her. How do you feel about Nat in this movie?
This movie, I love. I love this movie. I love Nat in this movie. I love Yelena down bad in this movie. Melina, I love Alexa. Like I love them. I love, love, love this movie. The issues that I have come from the like very nitpicky, like your like her like the fact that Florence Pugh was like, no, I'm gonna do the accent and I'm gonna stay dedicated to it. Same thing with Melina, and the same thing with Alexi. They all were like, nah, we're gonna keep the accent. And Natasha's the only one who sounds like she can like she just left a McDonald's parking lot and is on her way to Walmart. Like she's the only one who sounds American in any way. And I understand that it shows like the difference in like, yeah, I did go west. I made that choice. But it's like, are you consciously choosing to lose your accent? Because that's crazy, actually, that you consciously are switching into an American accent. Um, anyway, uh all that to say, I
It's Leia
love
New Hope, right? Where like when she's talking to dignitaries, she's doing like the core world, almost Coruscanti. Admiral Tarkin, I should have known. And the moment she sees Luke and Han, she's like, "Hey guys, I'm from Space America."
like it just is so yeah, it does rub me a little bit of the wrong way because it rubs me the same wrong way that Wanda's accent, that like Elizabeth Olsen feels only half committed to that at every opportunity. She's
Yeah,
like, today I'm Sokovian. Tomorrow, fuck that.
I'm from Minnesota.
And it's like, okay, I'm from New Jersey.
I'm from Jersey. Yeah.
And it's
I
just like
just picked a random state out of a bag, but you're right on Jersey.
like it just is one of those things where again like Agatha in WandaVision hitting her with oh, that accent really goes in and out, doesn't it, is one of my favorite lines in the MCU entirely, because and this is a gripe that is specific to me, because I hate it in all, like in everything. I hate it in everything. I hate it when people don't have the accents that they should, or are like, and again, I know that this is like a Americans like won't read subtitles, but like I hate that they're not speaking certain languages. Like at the end of Black Widow, all of the widows were speaking Russian, and they committed to that. And I was like, yeah. But earlier in the movie, like, things happen. I'm like Melena's talking to the pigs, and I'm like, why isn't she speaking Russian to the pigs? Like, it doesn't make sense that she's speaking English with her Russian accent because her first language is Russian. Like, it would make more sense. And again, as like not somebody who is bilingual or anything like that, but I know that people who grow up speaking multiple languages, like in your head, it goes in and out, in and out, in and out,
Yeah.
what language you're
It's
speaking.
like situational what's playing in your head.
But like, why if you're gonna double down on it with the Black Widows at the end, why not double down with it in the middle with Milena? Like, why not double down with it like her speaking Russian and us just reading the 2-inch subtitles? Again, my gripes with this movie are so minuscule because I love it so bad.
If I can
I
respond,
love
ooh,
this
sorry.
movie. I love like I am like Florence Pugh. I love her. Thank you. Like, thank you. Thank you.
Well, if I can respond
Feige.
on the
Thank you, Kevin
accent thing,
Feige.
if I can respond on the accent thing, if quite frankly, I think this movie showing how much of Natasha's family still has a like very dem-
Well, no,
like
again, Alexei says
commanding
it.
Russian accent.
Yeah.
Like I like that element of characterization because how much it shows that she like actively did not want to sound like where she came
Again,
from
yeah,
and
Alexei says it.
assimilated, like
Oh, so
especially
you've gone west.
that little flashback where we go back to when she thought she got Dracov and thought she killed Antonia, like that bit where she's like, "Yes, I have him." Like she does have a Russian accent there,
Oh,
and
I
I
couldn't
love
tell.
she does, and I love that it shows that like she
It's a conscious choice.
it is a conscious. I really love that his characterization. Like I don't
I'm
disagree with
not so
you.
mad at her, but that's been a long running Black Widow issue for me because of her storyline. But again, I stand 10 toes down on Melina and I stand 10 toes down on like other characters not just speaking in
Yeah,
Russian.
but all that to say, going back to what I did initially ask, how do you feel about Nat's characterization here?
Oh, I love her. I love her. I didn't expect to love her. And I do think who directed this movie?
I had it. I literally had it, and then I clicked out of that tab because I wanted to remember what Red Guardian's last name was. Because I always want to say Alexei Sitsevich, but I know that is the Rhino. This would be Kate Shorthand.
Awesome. Yeah, you can, but that's the thing is that like in the development of her, you can feel that like there is like a feminine touch. And personally, I see it a lot more with Yelena's character in this movie. How you can tell that she is like you tell how grounded she is. You can tell how fierce and angry and sad she is. And again, like perhaps that is just Florence Pugh's incredible acting ability.
Right.
But I want to lend it to the fact that it is a female director and we get those different aspects because again, this is like I would have never wanted personally, I think like a lot of superhero films that are like led by women should be directed by women, should be written by primarily women. Not saying that men can't write or direct women, but like
Right. But
there
it's a
is
perspective thing. It's a
an
perspective
yeah,
thing.
there's an inherent like depth that women have looking at other women in an artistic light. Um, because the range of emotion is so deep and so impactful, like you see that with Florence Pugh, with her breakdown at the table. You see that where she is like, it was real. It was real to me. Like, don't say that. Don't say that it wasn't real because it always was real. You were my mother. You were my father. Like, it's so heartbreaking. And again, Natasha by the end of the movie is pulls Yelena in and is like, it was real to me too. Like, you were always my sister. And again, that's
Right.
why as a child, she rips that like photo strip in half to make sure Yelena always has something to remember her big sister by because it was real to them. Um, you can't put children in a situation like that and that not be real for them. You can obviously you can't even put adults in that situation and it not be real for them because both Alexei and Melina were loyal to their kids at the end of the day. And was she at first? No, Melina wasn't. Now I deeply believe that that is an autistic woman, okay? That woman has straight autism and I love that for her. Because she is a scientific queen. But you can see like the
How you
way that
doing, Mom? I am clearly injured.
I am clearly injured. Like she is so like blunt, she is so upfront, she is so bad at reading the situation that is going
Yeah.
on. She is so
Well, she's good
socially
at reading the
awkward.
situation. She's bad at managing
She's so socially
tone.
awkward.
She's bad at managing tone
She is
and
great.
delivery.
She can clock up, down, side to side everything that's going on. And she is so smart. She is so funny. And she is so sexy. And she is so loved by Alexei. And he loves her for exactly who she is. Like, there is no, Melena, can you? Melena, can you? Melena, can you? It's Alexei, I will. I will do whatever you want, baby. I'm here for you. You say jump and I ask how high. Call me a pig when I do it because I'm going to. And again, like she is like she's such a fascinating character to me in this. And again, like I love Natasha's relationship with them. We this film does everything that we have ever wanted from Natasha's character. The only thing that I really can complain about is the fact that we won't get more. Because I would watch more. I would watch more in a heartbeat. If they were like, we're gonna do a Black Widow TV show featuring um Natasha, Yelena, Melina, and Alexei, and like adventures in freeing other Black Widows, watch that. I'd be tuning in every week. I only want it to be like a half hour long. I
For
want
what
to be
it's
a
worth,
sitcom.
the screenplay was written by Ned Benson. However, the original story was penned by Eric Pearson and Jack Schaefer. Jack Schaefer, who also led the charge on WandaVision and Agatha all along. Um,
That was a duo too, though, wasn't it? For
yeah,
WandaVision.
that was Jack Schaefer and Matt Shackman.
But still,
And Eric Pearson also worked on let me get everything here. Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four First Steps, Thor Ragnarok. So like for what it's worth, like Marvel did not like they sent in some of their heavy hitters.
absolutely.
Like
And again, you
between
can tell.
people who they didn't even necessarily know yet were going to become some of their heavy hitters. Because like some of those projects were still in development and or hadn't come out yet, you know. Um, but yeah, just things to consider. But no, I agree. I think the family dynamic is really compelling because you know it. How do I put this? There is at no point in the presentation of this story a moment where things are out of nowhere, hunky dory, and we're all cool now.
No,
And I
absolutely
think
not.
Thunderbolts makes the wise decision to, by the time that movie takes place, for Alexei and Yelena to still not be on the best of terms.
Not
They're
be on
not
any terms,
like
really. He
they're
thinks
they're
they
on
are.
they're on better terms than they are when we first reunite. They first
Oh,
reunite.
absolutely. I mean, when we first reunite them, she's literally is like, "Can I just push them out the helicopter now?"
But what I really love though is that there is a and it's tragic. There's a tragic irony because we know they don't have very much, if not any time at all, to take the next steps forward in repairing the relationship. But we can see that it can be repaired and that given time, it would have been. repaired had things not gone down the way they did.
Had Yelena not been blipped,
Had
had,
Yelena not been blipped, had Natasha not had the responsibility that was foisted upon her, we see that like it goes under discussed that by the time of Avengers Endgame, Natasha is leading what's left of the Avengers.
Yep.
She is the leader. Like she's coordinating with Danvers and Okoye. Like she's talking to people in outer space. She's talking to Wakanda. Like they're all doing shit. You know, they're trying to bring her into the fold to help handle like Clint doing Ronin shit. You know, like people like Natasha has become a highly sought after asset because she's one of the few people left who are still like who are experienced and really good at this shit. And like that goes under discuss. So much responsibility is foisted upon her that she doesn't really have the time or the latitude to like get caught up in all that. Plus the fact that she is probably silently mourning Yelena.
Absolutely.
That Yelena is among the dead. I don't know if we know whether or not Red Guardian and Iron Maiden got blipped, but like
Melina. Put
Melina,
respect on her.
I can't say Melina because I think of the Mortal Kombat character. But you know, were they blipped or was there some amount of like I just got this back and I lost part of it again and I can't even bring myself to look at it. You know, like there's so much going on there and there's so much that is kind of left
I think
in
the
my
actual
opinion
answer,
beautifully between the lines. It's beautifully left between the lines.
I I think the answer to that would be yeah, they did. Because I think that would be the only acceptable answer as to why we don't like why they are never brought up. You know what I mean? Like why we don't get floor like again, because the movie comes out after, like why we
Right.
wouldn't technically get like Yelena's picture or Alexi's picture and like the missing scroll. You know, I know that's technically that would be
Yeah.
the answer.
And again it's one
And
of
then
those
she
we
gets
just
shut the
don't
fuck
see
up
it,
because
you know,
why would
like
she say anything to anybody about anything?
right. But again, I think that's part of it is that, you know, there's so much responsibility put
Also,
on
do you
her.
think Alexi would have been like totally cool and chill when half the world disappeared?
No.
Do you think he wouldn't
Um,
have immediately become a warlord over like a small territory, like a town? And
but
he'd be
no,
like, alcohol is free here now. I run the place.
but I also think there's something to be said for the way that like one of Nat's fatal flaws that again, like this is like we were talking before about some of like the unfortunate like shortcomings of we got this amazing story that takes place before we know she dies, and therefore we can't explore it more. But the trade off for that is we know how mission oriented Natasha has always been, how dedicated to her work she's always been. The way that Endgame is kind of recontextualized as like her hanging on by a thread is her trying to bury herself in having purpose and having something to fix because something she loves so dearly and wanted to have back so badly is gone now.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing characterization. And again, like the fact that the family is not instantaneously healed because we went on one adventure together, but the healing process has begun, I think is really good. Like I think Red Guardian's characterization, um, you know, I said in the audio commentary, I was like, upon rewatching this movie,
What
I
just
was like,
happened?
maybe I accidentally hit the little pump and straight down. And I got really tiny. Um, like the Ant Man. Anyway, it said maybe I think Red Guardian's too much in this. Like I was, I loved Red Guardian, and I said in the audio commentary, like people kept telling me back, like this is like right around when I quit doing cosplay stuff. The people were like, "Oh, Jared, you have to cosplay Red Guardian because you're a big stocky commie." Um,
And I said, yeah.
maybe one day, but um,
Yeah.
but I kind of got to a point where I was like, maybe this is too much. Like I remember being entertained by it when the movie came out, but it got a little bit long in the tooth. It got a little bit Guardians 2y for me, where it's like let the moment be serious. Just let this guy let his guard down and stop couching it in a joke about him being an egomaniac. But there's also a part of me where like Taylor watches me do this all the time, where I basically argue with myself about something. Um,
Yep.
but there's also a part of me that looks at these moments, and you have the beat where Alexei is trying to explain, like, yes, I'm vain and dumb, but I wanted to
Oh,
seem
the
cool to
entire
you
end of
guys.
the movie
Yeah, but like,
where he
but
is
specifically when he's
desperately
trying to get out of the
trying
cell.
where he's desperately trying to tell everybody how he feels actually,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he keeps finding out that actually they thought he was too stupid to have an earpiece.
Sunny is too stupid. They only had two, and she needed to communicate with Yelena.
No, because she gave it to Natasha, and then Natasha had to make a decision on who it needed to go
No,
to.
Natasha didn't have an earpiece.
Natasha said, "Okay, I'll give it to Yelena if you only have one."
Yeah, because Melina had one.
Yeah, I know. Exact. I'm saying that Natasha made the decision to give it to Yelena
They needed to communicate with her because they knew she would be in holding, and
because
Natasha
Melina gave it to
masquerade.
Natasha.
Melina would go straight to Dracov.
Yeah,
Like,
but Melina was like, "All right, I'll give this to you, Natasha, and we can communicate." And she was like, "Okay, well, do you have more?" And she was like, "No." And she was like, "Okay, well, I'll give this to Yelena then."
yeah. Either way, like with
That was
Alexei, with
a
with Alexei, like there was a part of me that was like, okay, I get it. I fucking get it. Like you're Mr. Braggart, motherland. Um,
tries to bare his heart and soul to Natasha next door to him. Can't.
what
Finds
I
out finds
well,
out he also doesn't have an earpiece
it's like
after bearing his heart to Yelena.
but I've been able to think about it since watching the movie the other night. And the more I've thought about it, the more I appreciate the characterization of Alexei being like, I was trying to be big
And
and larger than
strong.
life to impress you guys. And there's a part of me that likes that. There's also a part of me that's like, yeah, but you also were doing it for yourself a lot of bit too, but
But if
whatever.
that's how he has to cope in order to grow from it,
Yeah. And
is it
I
all
I don't
bad?
I don't hate it. Like it's one of those things like I thought about it a little bit and it grew on me again. Um but I do enjoy the characterization, and I do love that by the time of Thunderbolts, the that behavior from Red Guardian is much less about look how great I am and him like exalting Yelena.
Yeah, his daughter,
So,
he
like,
loves I love my kid and I love her bad.
and it was thinking about it that like I know that the next time I see him, it is so not about him and so about Yelena.
Yeah.
It is so much to do with the fact that like he is eternally impressed by her and looks up to his kid in a way that like is beautiful, but it's strained because of the nature of the relationship and like the broken trust that like will always be in a state of repair. Like,
Because he gave them up. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, and that is that's in a child, for a child, that's forever. That's forever. That memory will never, ever, ever leave you.
no, no. But I will say it also does lead to some of the funniest bits. I don't
Also,
think
some of the best dialogue of all time in Thunderbolts.
which bit.
Daddy, I'm scared.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
break my heart into 1,000 pieces.
I will say Florence Pugh, just to give her flowers that she already has in abundance.
Yeah, I'm fucking growing them for my own body if I could.
I have so much respect for Florence Pugh as an actor and as an artist that she is both a linchpin of so many like franchises and blockbusters, and is about to become even more integral by the time we get to Dune Messiah later. The Dune Chapter 3, call it Messiah, you fucking cowards. Um, Later this year, while also still doing
Florence
your
Pugh may be the great, like
Midsummers
one,
and
maybe
Little
the
Women, and
actress of our time. Like,
I think she's a generational talent. I really do, and but I love seeing somebody who like I know right now it's like dating the episode a little bit. I know right now, especially this week, it's fun to shit on Timothy Chalamet, and I have a lot of complicated opinions about him and his recent statements about ballet and opera and all
oh,
that
I
shit.
personally don't really care. I never. been like I've never been a huge fan of his. I've always kind of found him a little bit pretentious.
But
Um,
not the point. But I remember him, like you said, not to get into that like the right now stuff. But I remember kind of rolling my eyes at Chalamet whenever he was like, oh, like what something to the. It was either him. It was either like an actors on actors thing, and it was him and DiCaprio, or someone was asking about like advice he had gotten from DiCaprio, and one of the things he was told was like no superhero movies,
I
and the
remember that.
way
Yeah, I remember that.
and the way that there was kind of a derision in his voice because so many people have been trying to get Calumet in a fucking cape. So many people, and again, like we can
I
unpack
see. I couldn't
we could
see him
unpack
as.
Dick
I don't think.
Grayson needing to be played by a Romani. Like people
I
wanted
don't
to
think
play
I could
Grayson, people
see
want to play
him as
Harry Osborn.
anybody. I genuinely don't. Like I don't know. There's not anybody I could think of in my head that I would be like, oh yeah, Timothy Chalamet.
There was a point in time that if I were like, okay, Jared, you get to make non-canon Star Wars sequels based on the Legends expanded universe. If I'm in charge of making these. They're not canon. We're just adapting EU stuff, and it's going to be live action because unlimited money. Chalamet is at the top of my list to play Jason Solo, and he has continued to prove me right that would have been great casting with the way he plays Paul Atreides. That is exactly how I imagine Darth
Oh,
Caedus, but not the point. But the way that you have someone like Chalamet, who I think that you could say in many ways one of his equals and one of his like key contemporaries being Florence Pugh, where she has
being in so
happily,
many films with him as well.
yeah,
From
exactly,
Little Women to Dune to something
like
else, I'm sure.
she is. But I love the fact that she can do both, and that like there is a
And she can
classic.
elevate both. Like she elevates
There's just a
everything she's in.
classic star quality to her where it does not matter if it's like it reminds me of Alec Guinness.
Mhm.
Alec Guinness hated fucking Star Wars. But Alec Guinness showed up to work as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He showed up. Yes, he just won an Oscar for Bridge Over the River Kwai,
And he
and
said,
he's
I am
and he's
going
in and
to
he's in
work,
goddamn Lawrence of
honey.
Arabia. Like this legendary actor Alec Guinness. And even though he didn't like Star Wars and he hated it, and he was like, if you're gonna bring me back as a ghost, I want to do all my scenes in one day. Fuck you, George.
Fuck you, George.
Um,
The only man who could say fuck you, George.
yes, because it wasn't George goddamn Lucas yet. But like you have
I
all of
don't know. I
this.
think even when he became George goddamn Lucas, Alec Guinness could have said, fuck you, I'm not doing it.
You're right. But he still showed up to work. And even though he as a person didn't take the art seriously, he took his artistry in it seriously.
Absolutely, because he's a
And
fucking
I
professional.
and in an
This
era
is like we're
especially.
talking about Michael Caine with the fucking Muppets. We're talking about Tim Curry with the Muppets. You show up to work and you're
Yeah,
gonna work because you're a fucking professional.
the Taika Waititi Star Wars doesn't take itself too seriously, but it believes in itself mantra. Like it's one of those things where, especially at this time when Black Widow came out, we were only a couple years removed from every single time like an auteur director or a prestige actor got an opportunity to say fuck Marvel. They said fuck Marvel with their whole chest. And Florence Pugh is out here getting nominated for awards, being in like Oscar darling movies, things that felt like they were layups for like best picture and shit, pulling up and still like doing those pieces, but still doing horror, still doing superhero flicks, still doing sci-fi. Like she's doing blockbusters and she's doing the
It feels
artsy
like she
fartsy
is doing movies that she genuinely likes. Like it
and
feels like
believes
she
in.
does stuff that she likes to do. And I think that is very, I think in a lot of ways that's very radical because so many people will only do things that they believe will commercially be successful. And that I think has also driven the downfall of the movie industry, the whole streaming industry. Like people do not want to take risks because
Mid-budget movies don't exist
they
anymore.
do not want to lose money. And like they, because every single time you produce a high budget film or even a mid budget film, anytime you produce any kind of movie or TV show, you are inherently investing thousands, if not millions of dollars. And people are not willing to risk that anymore. And I think that has been like genuinely very much the downfall of entertainment. I think if you look
Right.
historically, you're looking at people like you're looking at like the hyper uber rich who would keep artists essentially as pets in their house.
Yeah.
And then they would come down and visit them, and Leonardo da Vinci would be like, "Hello, I have invented a helicopter." And they're
While
like,
I was painting this broad for you, I made a flying
that's
machine.
cool. I don't care about that. Where's the broad I asked for? And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot about her. She's already done. She's over here. And like just that being the
Leonardo da
norm.
Vinci, the inventor of the modernized hidden blade in Assassin's Creed lore.
But no, serious, like, yeah, actually, like, it just people are not given the freedom and the just free reign to create. There is no more like you want to do a movie, you want to do a space opera and it be in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago. Okay, like here's money, not like unlimited money, but here's money. Do you want to do it? And like, yeah,
Yeah.
like you don't get the same you from essentially the invention of film to like I think the late 2000s, you had just people are able to create what they want to create
Well,
almost at any given time.
if I can lightly push back on that, and I want to bring this specific idea back to Black Widow in a moment. Um, Nobody believed in Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, I don't.
But no. But what I'm saying is like you have these people who have like amazing ideas, and the studio system counts them the fuck out because it's
Well,
weird and it's off the beaten path,
again,
and
that
it's
goes
been
into the
so
create like the
consistently.
limitedness of creativity. Like, if it's not going to be a financial guarantee, I want to clip your wings.
Right, but that brings us to why it took so long to get a fucking Black Widow movie.
Obvious, but no, but that's exactly
And
what I'm saying is that
yeah,
up until like I say the late 2000s solely because throughout the early to mid 2000s, you have like until the recession 2008, you
right.
pretty much have uh, everybody can just go like think about how many B E D C list horror movies comes out in this time period. Like
Yeah,
you have movies that like are so incoherent that you could not functionally watch them as like a critical thinker. And that was in theaters for like months
yeah.
in the early 2000s.
Sharknado.
Sharknado. Like you have no, actually I think Sharknado was a sci-fi exclusive. Um and I say that as a former sci-fi the network fan. Shouts out Haven.
But
But
no,
like no, you have this sort of bottleneck where you go because movies you like because things used to cost less in general, but like you have this freedom because there are so many production companies because there are so many distribution companies. You have this huge open market where you can shop a movie around to 18, 19, 20 different distributors before you find one and their logo that is in the end like opening credits is fucking a dog in a hat that
yeah.
like zooms out to a woman at a table and then it zooms out again to a horse neighing and then it zooms out again and it's like Hudson Bay and then it goes into the movie like you would have the
Yeah,
most
there's been so much
incoherent shit.
consolidation. Like those like
You
don't
lose
exist
the
anymore.
freedom of being able to say, oh, well, I'm going to just shop it around. Like, I'm not going to say, yeah, I'll bend your will. Yeah, I will, take those notes on the script in order to get funding. Like I can go down the street to Hudson Bay and they'll fucking take anything, okay? They'll take
But
anything and put it straight to DVD.
all yeah, I agree with that. And where like I think that arcs back to Black Widow is you have absolute demagogues like Ike Perlmutter, who again was like, no one wants Captain Marvel, nobody wants Black Widow unless it's TNA, nobody wants Black Panther, and you have $2 billion movies right there, and then a movie in Black Widow that again, like say what you will about the box office, going back to that, people paid $30 at home to watch this.
Fuck yeah.
People complained up, down, and side to side about $30 to rent a movie and still fucking did it
Yep.
because people love this character. And going back to Florence Pugh for one moment, like what I love so much about her and what I respect so much about her is her dedication to the character of Elena Belova. That like she shows up for Hawkeye, you
Fuck
know,
yeah.
and when I say shows up, I mean she shows up to
She
fucking work.
shows up. She earns her fucking check in that movie.
She is,
That woman goes to work. When she clocks in, that bitch clocks in.
and she even like look at the fucking cast for Marvel Zombies.
Clocked in.
Almost everybody is
Did you
using a
not know
vocal
that until
double.
I said that?
I
When you
kept
were
saying
watching it?
I said out loud, I can't tell if this is Florence Pugh or like the best voice
And I was like,
double
no,
ever.
all of them are actually them. Like it's
But there's so many voice doubles though. But again, it's the fact that Florence Pugh,
no, but
Oscar
like I
nominated
knew the
Florence
girls
Pugh.
were all themselves. Like
Oh yeah, Kate Bishop and Kamala
I knew
Khan.
the girls were themselves. Like I
Yeah,
knew they were them.
but like
And
again,
I
well,
also knew Elizabeth Olsen was Elizabeth Olsen.
but while there's so many other people who are calling in voice doubles,
Yeah.
you know, like no, like Florence Pugh got into the booth and was like, "Oh, this is a non-canon horror side project in an alternate universe where there's a zombie apocalypse." And yeah, Yelena's only in a handful of episodes, and she tragically sacrifices herself. And Taylor was a weeping mess on the couch.
I was.
Um,
Facts. I don't like zombies, by the way. Everybody needs to know that. That is a big no-no for Taylor.
but she still showed up, and that's what I love so much. Is that in an
And
age
she
where you
showed up
have
and she made me show up.
when you have like so many people, again, I talk about it all the time, the way that genre fiction gets so fucking shit on a lot of the times by these fucking auteurs who are just have their heads straight up their ass and have so many, in my opinion, anti-art opinions about
Because
genre
the only art
filmmaking.
that's real is their art.
You have people like Florence Pugh who are putting in the goddamn work. And it doesn't matter if it's Greta Gerwig and we're doing Little Women or Ari Aster with Midsummer, or if it's one of those silly Marvel cape flicks that are like a roller coaster ride, not a real movie. Fuck that take. She shows up and she brings so much humanity and pathos to this like absolute D-list comic book character
I
and has made her a household name. Like
yeah.
again, we don't talk enough
Do you
about the
know
way
the only depiction of Yelena Belova I know is one single image of her. And it is where it's her and like the blonde like bob and she has like turned back and like with the gun. Like it's an ass shot.
but like we get like and I talk about it all the time about how there was that one year my family's like doing trick or treat and there's a ton of kids at the house getting candy with my family and I'm seeing Black Panther and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and I'm like like 10 years ago children don't know who the fuck Ant-Man is or Strange or Black Panther or whatever, and now they do. And like those characters are household names. Those characters are children's favorite superheroes, and they don't just show up in one episode of somebody else's cartoon. They're main fucking characters
Of their own movies.
of their own things. The Guardians. Like the prime example. We don't talk enough about how they did that with goddamn Yelena Belova.
Yeah.
Even conversation, and this is not to denigrate Shang-Chi, a
Even the
movie
fuck
I
like
like,
the century.
a movie Sentry, a character who was relegated to like he's one of the Marvel Supermen,
Yeah,
like
we'll say that.
we don't give her the flowers. We don't like again, I love Shang-Chi. Like most of the conversations about Shang-Chi are so little to do with that character and so much to do with how beautiful that movie is and how great the fight choreography is. That is not a slight on oh my god, how did I just forget the actor's name?
Simu Liu.
Simu Liu. Like that's not a slight on Simu Liu's performance, that's a slight on anybody in that movie, but like we talk about Shang-Chi because of the action, not necessarily the performances. Like Yelena Belova had
Oh
a
God, I fucking
Evans as
talked
Steve Rogers,
exclusively
Downey,
about her performance.
like, but she does what Evans did for Rogers, what Downey did for Stark, what Hemsworth did for Thor, where you took these characters that people weren't that invested in, that the general audience, that normal people who have never touched a
Didn't
comic book
care.
before
It's not
fell in
Batman.
love
It's
with.
not Superman.
They fell in love with. They fell in love with, and that is true of Yelena here. And I don't think
Absolutely.
Florence Pugh gets the fucking flowers she deserves for that specifically. Again, when people
She,
talk about how
she,
Marvel doesn't have the sauce anymore,
yeah,
like you need to pretend that this performance doesn't fucking exist to do that.
she
You
catapulted. Not like she catapulted this character who never like who was a an afterthought at best.
yeah. I mean, you say it yourself in the movie. Like, even though Scarlett Johansson has the edge of having played this character for over 10 years, in your words, you said that Pugh was acting circles
I think
around
she was
Johansson.
acting circles around Scarlett. And again, it's not that I think that Scarlett is in any way a bad actress. Sometimes I do, but this time I don't. Um,
It's just that Florence Pugh is a generational talent.
she is a once in a lifetime talent. When you see her little, oh, I know I'm about to fucking die. I know whatever she's about to say is gonna kill me. And I can clock it and it never ever fails. Like no matter what she's in, it doesn't matter. She is so talented. She I know it's Florence Pugh because she is incredible. But I watch and I'm like, no, that's Yelena.
Yeah.
That's Yelena. Like that's not,
And then,
it
like,
just is so she disappears in roles that it in a way that is very in a way that's very to me like Angelina Jolie. Like she when I watch Maleficent, I am not looking at Angelina Jolie. I'm looking at Maleficent. Like I am looking at the character she is playing. I am not looking at her anymore.
to name a specific example with Florence Pugh in this movie, it's the American Pie scene back at Melina's cabin. Like, there's a, like,
Yeah.
there's a humanity and a naturalness and a realness to that. Like, it starts with her almost seemingly half mockingly, like kind of like talk singing along with Alexei. And by the end, when like the waterworks
I
start,
don't feel
well, no,
any of
no,
the mocking.
no, no. I think that when he starts doing it, I think there's a part of it that's like, yeah, I'm going to go along with it. But like by the time she starts crying, and there's this like, she has a sad smile.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is somebody who's like beginning to see the humanity, and it's like so much happens in that moment that is just so masterfully conveyed by Florence Pugh,
See,
because
I get
part
yeah.
of it is the little bit of resentment, part of it is the I'll entertain this, part of it is the seeing Alexi's humanity as someone who wronged her, and trying to compartmentalize and harmonize the betrayal with the love, with the frustration, with the resentment, while also experiencing the thing that kids do with parents in normal situations, where you go, oh shit, you're not like a superhero, you're a fucking person. Where like Alexei is just so humanized by her in that scene. And that's before we even talk about the incredible chemistry between David Harbour and Florence Pugh. The way that I buy that relationship so hard, especially in Thunderbolts. That, like, it's just there's just so much going on with her in that scene that like there's some shit I just don't know if you can direct. There is some shit I just don't think you can direct. I think there is some shit actors can just do. And I rank Florence Pugh among Alec Guinness and Christopher Lee and Adam Driver as like serious actors with and Ian McKellen as serious actors with serious resumes with serious talent who show up to this silly,
Patrick
campy,
Stewart.
pulpy bullshit and just put their whole ass into it. Unapologetically, their whole ass. There is not a second where Ian McKellen does not believe Gandalf as he's performing. There's not a second where Adam Driver does not believe Kylo Ren. Again, look at all of these people, all nominated for Oscars, all doing serious movies, whatever the fuck. There is not a ounce in difference, at least to me and my interpretation in the audience, between the level of effort they are putting in between these projects. It doesn't matter if it's Black Klansman or The Rise of Skywalker. Adam Driver showed up to fucking work. It doesn't matter if it's Little Women or Avengers Doomsday by the end of the year. A movie that is just so out of its mind and has no business existing because, much like Endgame, it's just going to be a comic book brought to life, for better or worse. And Florence Pugh is going to show up and work her ass off. And she does so much for this film. And like, I don't want to shortchange Natasha in the conversation because, like, again, like I do think in many ways, I worded it that way in the background section intentionally. Like this feels like an encore for Scarlett Johansson. This
Mhm.
feels like a curtain call. Like we all know how this story ends. I'm gonna get to do everything that makes Natasha Romanoff a great character for a whole movie. It's the snark, it's the charm, it's the hauntedness. It's, even though this movie is not as kind of drooling all over the camera lens the way Iron Man 2 is, there's a
Oh yeah,
sexiness to it.
she
Like,
was sexy, but she was a normal amount that I could handle.
not so sexy that you die. Um,
I was like, I could handle that, and I would.
and it's everything that makes Natasha Natasha for a whole movie, but
More specifically, I was like, I could handle Yelena any day of the week,
but
baby. In the gas
but
station, the dirty
with
gas station, no problem.
but with that comes the way that this movie also puts Yelena over, and it's the way the
Oh
movie kind of
yeah,
like very seamlessly,
they set
might
her up
I
for
add,
success.
makes Yelena like an immediate you're going to be very important moving forward character.
Absolutely, we get the introduction with fucking that's so Christine. What's her name?
Contessa de Allegro de Fontaine,
Yes,
Val.
that's
I
so
don't think I
Christine
ever said her
is
name
a
right, by the
show.
way.
She
Like,
that's a show she was in. The
I love that
actress.
you went with that before Veep or Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, my mom liked that one.
Veep or Seinfeld?
No, that's so Christine.
Oh, I misunderstood. I apologize.
Or no, that's so old Christine, I think it was, because I think there's a
The
new
New
Christine.
Adventures of Old Christine.
Yes, my mom fucking loved that, dude. That
That's
was
so
her
good. That's
shit.
you just went. That's so Raven with the Old Adventures of New Christine.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. It's both.
That's funny.
It's
Just good
everything.
friends. Um,
It's
you know
all
what I just
things.
realized?
What?
Attack on Titan is just a really scary version of That's So Raven.
No, it's not. Okay, that's wrong and false and dumb.
Um,
Anyway, you know what is a good movie though?
what? Can't trail off. Can't trail off.
Sorry, the dog is chasing its tail. It's a new behavior. She's
Lock
14,
in,
she's
honey. Lock in, honey.
13. Sorry, she's 13 years old. She's never done that before. That was bizarre.
I'm very sad I missed it. I hope she does it again.
I am I actually don't think I do. Um, what was I saying?
What is a good movie?
Black Widow.
It is a great movie. Um, as we kind of get towards the end here, I do want to have a kind of a villain conversation.
Taskmaster, my baby girl. Also, my favorite part of this movie, really,
When the widows rescue Taskmaster,
Window Widows Rescue Taskmaster.
it's really sweet. Um, I if anybody's been following along here long enough knows I'm not going to be a weirdo who pretends to be a diehard Taskmaster fan their entire life and was somehow betrayed by a gender bent version of Taskmaster and the
Nobody
fact that it
cares
isn't.
about Taskmaster.
Um,
Get Taskmaster tattooed on your body, then you can tell me how you feel. That's the rule now. If you don't have a tattoo of them on your body, that means you actually don't stand them that bad.
I mean, listen, I'm not broken up over the fact that it isn't Anthony Masters.
Who cares?
I like I said, I'm not broken up over it. My only real gripes with Taskmaster in this movie is that these are one of those instances because of how Taskmaster is implemented. I have a lot of mixed opinions about the look. Like, especially because this comes out in Marvel Phase 4 and it is surrounded by instances where the MCU has like very confidently called its shot and went, we're going to do the most aggressively like ripped off the page costumes you've ever seen. They used Taskmaster in a context where you can't do that. And you end up with like the weird snowboarder helmet. And as I said numerous times in the audio commentary, I vehemently dislike that it's like a stupid fucking Black Rifle Coffee tactical machete.
Yeah, you do hate that.
I wish it was a sword. I wish it was just a sword. I don't even remember. Did she even have like a sword in Thunderbolts, or is it still just a machete?
Honestly, I don't remember.
I hate that. I love the colors. I think they get the colors right. I really like the shade of blue that's like so dark it's almost purple. I love the shade of orange. I wish it was a little less muted, but I wish it was more saturated, but I like the shade. Um, and I like the way they implement Taskmaster thematically. Um, as this kind of final sin to try to make right for Natasha. Um, I like everything that Taskmaster represents. I love the way that Taskmaster is an extension of Anton Dreykov. I think
Yeah.
I said in the audio commentary, and this is no disrespect to the gentleman who played Dreykov. I'm sure he's a wonderful, decent human being who is not at all a monster or a creep. I saw this movie opening night, and my dad and I at the same time went, "Is he supposed to be fucking Weinstein?"
Ooh.
I mean, because like in many ways, and maybe this is not for me to talk about, this felt like a post Me Too movie.
So I had made the comment during the film that you have to imagine how many girls are taken every year to sustain this project. And I said you have to realistically think that there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Black Widows out there in like active society, because genuinely that is how many you would need to influence the global world. And if you think that only 1 in 20 make it, and if you think they only have, like, I was like, they probably have two graduating classes a year because how, like, if you look at the girls who are there when they are freeing them, there's like, what, 30?
I think that's high. I think it's like 15 to 20.
Okay, let's compromise. Let's go with like 23.
Sure. A nice uneven number.
All right, we'll go with 20. All right, so if there's 20,
Okay.
let's go with 20. If we say that there are 20 in a graduating class and only 1 in 20 make it, that you need at least 400 girls to enter the program for that season. So, like for the spring class, you would need 400 girls, and for the fall class, you would need 400 girls because you have to raise them from a very young age, right? Or
Right.
not even really, because you can kidnap them at any time and subjugate their brain.
Yeah.
So you have to have at least 400 girls a season and 800 girls a year go into the program and only 40 survive. Only 40 graduate a year. That's a small number. Like in the grand scheme of things, think about how many girls are going to die, you know? Think about the girl who fell off
Either
the
in
thing and broke her
training or
leg.
being killed because they
Think
weren't
about the
worthy.
girl who fell
Or
off and broke her leg. He terminated her. You don't do that if you don't have girls to spare. And he is famous for treating girls as a commodity. Women and girls are nothing but product to him. We inherently, as women, do not exist to this man. The
right.
only girl who ever existed to him was his daughter.
And even then,
And even then, immediately when he could, he fully subjugated her. He turned her into a living weapon that only he could control fundamentally. Like, there is no, she has no choice, no freedom, no nothing. She has nothing but his slave. And again, all of the, like, this is an out, like, I genuinely feel like this is an allegory for the sex trafficking world, like,
oh
the
yeah,
sex trafficking. Like, there are so many girls who go missing every year, thousands and thousands of girls who go missing every year. And nothing can be done. Or, like, that's the general consensus, is that that's just how the world works. And they end up in sex trafficking. They end up being prostitute, like, they end up being forced against their will to do things that they never would otherwise, or they get conned into doing things that they never would otherwise. And it's a vicious cycle, and it is never ending, and it is consistent, and it is perverse, but it is so prevalent in our society. Like, it is just a
yeah,
fact. And it's a fact that all women have to deal with. So, like, every woman has to deal with the reality that you can go to the bar and you can be drugged because you have a drink,
yeah.
because it is as easy as, looking away for one moment for somebody to,
To sprinkle some shit in.
and that is just your life. That's just how you have to live.
I think you're right about the human trafficking element of it. I think that like I
And how many of these girls are sent into missions and jobs and scenarios where they have to use their body in order to get control over the
yeah
situation? And again, it is as prevalent. Like, he does not, like, this. Dracoff does not care. Like, that these women do not exist outside. They are to him pigs. They are to him the same as Melina's pigs. They are nothing. Nothing but expendable pieces of
right.
meat, because there's always more girls. He
Mhm.
says it, like, the one thing the world has to spare is girls.
The one naturally occurring resource that we have too much of.
Too much of. We
I
can afford
think
to lose some because it doesn't matter.
I think you're so right on the human trafficking angle of it. What I think is like really masterful, and again, it's one of those like not the lived experience, but like the experience of like you're listening to people talk and tell
One in
stories.
four women are victims of
Um,
sexual violence. Like, it is.
I think Anton Dreykov in many ways in this movie is like just an avatar of like of predation, and is an avatar of just violence against women in like all its forms. Like obviously, like the Red
I
Room
mean, any way he could,
widow
he
program, like
would.
its roots are
Any
very
way he
clearly
could, he
rooted in the human
would.
trafficking element. But just like I said, like I
The
don't think it's an
complete
accident.
subjugation of a woman
Yeah,
is what he was after.
like
He is
dehumanization, modification.
he has never shown using that against a man. That is never discussed. That is never brought up.
Yeah.
The men who are commando guys, we assume, are just there because they want to be.
Yeah. Or the money was right, whatever.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. They're there. And Draco, they are nothing more than Molina's pigs. And like, that is the direct comparison I can make for this character and how he views women. They are a commodity, as easy as going to the store and buying pork. They are a commodity to him because no matter where he goes, there's always a girl who needs help. There's always a woman in distress. And it doesn't matter how old they are, it doesn't matter how young they are, with the ability to chemically subjugate somebody, you have permanent implicit control over anybody. And like again, the girl who had to terminate herself says, I don't want to do this. There is some level that they are still there and they are like what Yelena says it. And again, the thing that I hate so much about this movie actually is that it takes them to go to Melina's place to have the pig fucking stop breathing for everybody to be like, wow, Yelena, you were so 100% right. And she was like, yeah, I was me. Okay. I did that. I was the pig. And I'm
I,
telling
I
you,
got gas 2 days ago. I was there.
like bitch. They just are like, whatever. But like she the comparison is there because it is 1 to 1. And I think that including the fact that Melina had a pig farm because she was so detached from the program, she was so detached from what she was doing that in order for her to continue to do it, she had to view the subjects as pigs.
Yeah.
But to Dracov, it did not matter. They
No.
were human. It was Yelena. And Melina had no idea.
There's also the really grim, like, collective punishment angle because Yelena says, where
Oh,
she's like,
after you, it
Dracov
was
only
over.
turned up the temperature because you got away.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did you go away, not only did you get away, you went to fucking Shield
Shield.
and tried
And
to whack him with Shield. And now he's like, okay, I need to do some like weird biomechanical loony like
chemical
fucking
subjugation is
wild
literally what it
shit.
is.
Like,
That's what it is called in there. And like again, having the conclusion where she is able to free all of the widow, like the 20 widows that are in this class.
yeah.
Um, and not only did the girls get out, but they came back for them.
Mm-hmm.
They came back for Yelena because like Yelena, like they're like, that's our bitch.
Yeah.
That's our A1 from day one. And that's I wish I would love what I would give for a like White Widow show where it is Yelena and the bitches going on missions to free other Black Widows.
Yeah. Elena and the Widows would be fucking great.
Yelena and the Widows, and then we have guest spots from Alexi and Melina, where like they're like, "Hey, I need those 4 girls. We're going on a mission of the week, like a very
Yeah.
fun, campy, you know, but oh no, not campy at all. Fun action thriller, very Atomic Blonde, and it's like action
Yeah.
sequences to
Pulpy. Pulpy is what you were looking for.
yeah, nitty gritty. I want blood. I want gore. I want, fights. I want everybody's going at it. And then I want dance sequences where I want the girls in dresses because they're undercover and they have to go like gas girls, you know? Um, hire me, Marvel. I'm out here just giving you free shit. I'm giving you money. I'm giving you money to print. Um, but like I
Yeah.
lost my entire train of thought because I was thinking about how beautiful they would be.
Well, no, I do think you've gotten your point across. I just like,
Oh, the end, how beautiful it was and
yeah,
amazing. And yeah, picking up Taskmaster, we what we don't know what happens to her. So like it's actually Yelena, the widows, and Taskmaster, and she's learning how to talk to people and not be a fucking weirdo. And I think that would be cool because we get so little of her in Thunderbolts that I think it would be so fun to actually get a full show with her
Yeah.
where they can go wild. Like she can do crazy shit because immediately she will die in the movie.
I
So
just
like they
really
have to
lament
explain nothing.
I lament that Taskmaster is the Thunderbolts is a great film. I'm not comparing it to Suicide Squad to be a dick, but
Oh
like
yeah. No, actually
they've
that
been
would be the only problem is
they've
that Yelena doesn't
kind
have
of be,
more of an emotional reaction
they've kind of this act has
in
kind
my
of become a
movie.
verb,
Jesus.
um, or like a proper noun of some sort, but like or an adverb, um, like because Taskmaster gets slip knotted.
Like Fridge, but in a more
I mean, no,
loser kind
it's
of
not
way.
fridging. What happens to her is not
Loser
fridging.
in a more loser kind of way.
She is killed off to show that people can die here.
But
In the same
actually
way,
she's killed off
Slipknot,
because only she can die here.
much in the same way that only Slipknot is the only character in Suicide Squad who we can afford to pop the fucking Task Force X neck bomb on. Um, I
Yeah, because
lament
what
that
was
she's the one
that
who's
guy
coming.
gonna do?
I lament that we lose Taskmaster, if only because those are one of those instances where I am
Oh,
sure,
she actually would have been so fun in that group too.
but I'm just saying, like,
She would have
because there
been
was
such a
so much,
disgusting weirdo. She would have been like, oh God, she would have been so
just because there was so much
like
like
an alien.
faux outrage over like the gender swap and like not doing Tony Masters and doing like this new character. Like just because there was so much faux outrage, there was a little part of me that was a little disappointed to see her die. Not because I think they were deliberately trying to like appease part of the fan base, but just because like we have more to say with the rest of these characters,
And we have
and
more
we're
to say
hammering
with
home that like
her
sometimes life
too.
isn't fair and
Yeah.
tragedy, blah 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 blah. But no, I really do appreciate here that like in the pantheon of Marvel villains, I wouldn't go so far as to say that Anton Dreykov is in there with like Loki or Killmonger, Ultron, Green Goblin, whatever. He's not.
No,
Um,
but he is up
he's
there with
also not
the
on the low end with your fucking
nastiest.
Malekiths and Whiplashes either. I think that Dreykov is
He has the nastiest motives, perhaps,
he has the nastiest motives, but I think Dreykov is one of the best villains who exists as like an embodiment of a core theme as opposed to being an antagonizing force who
as an
represents an
embodiment of
ideology.
misogyny.
Yeah, like I said, he's an avatar of predation against women.
Yeah,
And there is so much that is implied by what he does and how he behaves that they don't get into because it's one of those like we don't want to make any type of whatever part of somebody's superhero origin, but like it's just I think how much of a rat fuck Anton Dreykov is so masterfully done with just enough subtlety and enough what actually happened in these four walls of this flying fortress, a flying fortress that I think is a step too fucking far for what they could get away with when Shield and Hydra did exist. Um,
we don't know if they existed at the same time necessarily.
Come on.
All right, but also think about how big the world
Um,
is. What if there's like two floating ships? They'll never see each other. That would be crazy. What a
I
coincidence.
again,
That'd be
it
crazy.
should
What
have
a
just been a part of
coincidence.
Hydra. It should have just been a part of Hydra, but whatever.
It should have been a part of Hydra that like defected at one point
Or
and
was it
was
like when
like,
Hydra fell, Dreykov
we're
was
gonna
like,
do our own thing.
literally for Dreykov to be like, I have such a specialized fucking niche within Hydra that like literally Hydra can fall and I can just gobble up the remaining resources and just keep my floating trafficking castle in the sky.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I think he's great because of the way he's an avatar of all that. But with that, I think that brings us to the end. Unless you have anything else to say.
I
Um,
don't think I do.
I just want to reiterate, a lot of this conversation has been about Florence Pugh, and I don't want to shortchange Natasha. I don't want to shortchange Scarlett Johansson. This movie and Nat's character in it is everything ScarJo has been great at with this character for 2 hours. And like this movie is such a no-brainer.
She's fun, she's
I think
flirty, she's hot, brilliant, like, she's a brilliant strategist. She is a sly little dog. I love her.
it's all great. I think one of the things that hurts this movie is like talking about it and talking about Johansson's performance is hindered by the fact that like so much of this movie has to carry the burden of why did we not have this 6 years ago?
Yeah, why did we not have this fucking
But like if the
even a year before, like even like 2 or 3 years before? Like
but if
it's
the biggest complaint you can have about a movie and its biggest hindrance is,
why didn't we have it sooner?
I
Then
think
it's
that's
a
a
pretty
pretty
good
good indicator.
movie. It's a
Yeah.
pretty good movie.
But with that, I think that does bring us to the end. Taylor, where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me at Silver Girl GRRL, blue sky dot thingies, whatever the handles are.
Yes.
Um, and Jared,
Yes.
you?
You guys can find me at Dark Jedi 2552 on Instagram and Blue Sky. You can also find the Nerd Academy podcast, yeah. God, I forgot how to do the plugs for a second there. That was embarrassing. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. You can also find us on our website, thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Where you're
Speaking
my
of,
best friend.
be one of Taylor's best friends. Where on
Please be my
Patreon
best
you get
friend.
at the $5 tier and up, you get early access to every episode of The Road to Doomsday, as well as exclusive access to our audio commentary series. And our $10 patrons also get a shout out at the end of every episode. So thank you to Paco and Ray Clausen. We greatly appreciate your help in keeping the lights on with this little operation. You can find me and Taylor over on Luminous Odyssey, the High Republic RPG, over on the All Remaining
Me
Systems
and
YouTube channel.
this hot, sexy little cat lady.
Yeah, Taylor plays a Cathar Jedi Knight named Miraja Colleen. I play a Iktachi Jedi Knight named Soren Zaith. Speaking of Iktachi, I don't know if you saw, Taylor, there were some images from Empire Magazine from Mandalorian and Grogu, and there is an Iktachi in one of them, and I
Oh no.
got excited. He's an old, ugly man, Iktachi, and not, in my mind, a young, handsome Iktachi. But
Yeah,
that's
my
us.
character description was sexy cat lady. Period.
You also doing that on the, like I said, All Remaining Systems with Michael McCoy, GMing with Alden Diaz and Joe Organa there as well. You can
Oh,
catch me over on the Mitch692 channel where we were talking all about Attack on Titan over on Pro and Noob, the anime podcast where
it's wild,
me
that
for the
show.
first time. I can't
Not
talk.
Pro Noob, but Attack on Titan. It's bananas. Never
It
seen
kind of
something so crazy.
defeats the purpose of Pro and Noob if I talk too much about my thoughts on Attack on Titan. But I can
But
confidently say that the Attack on Titan season of Pro and Noob is my favorite season we've done of
I
Pro and
think it's
Noob.
also my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. I crash out more about Attack on Titan than I did about Evangelion. So let that be the
That's
barometer.
big news.
Um,
Big news, folks.
Big news. People are saying. You also catch me on Epic Confrontations, the Star Wars Trivia League, hosted by Eli over on Star Wars in a Galaxy. Big matches coming up in the teams tournament. Not sure what will be airing when this is out, but stay tuned for that. But without any further ado, thank you everybody for watching. Next week, oh, what was that?
I just have to say one thing.
What's that?
I love hot women with big guns.
Yelena gets that big rocket launcher, and Melina has a sniper rifle that made me giggle for like 5 minutes
And
watching
I
her.
was like, those are the hottest women I've ever seen in my entire life.
The gun being bigger than Melina made
I
me
was
giggle
like,
for 5 minutes.
yes, Mama Sita, please. Anytime, anywhere, anything I would do for them.
But you guys can tune
And
in
also,
next
if you
week.
join Patreon, you can find more of that.
Yeah, on the audio commentaries. But next week we are talking all about a movie that I am very excited to revisit. I've only seen it once in theaters. So
I think
very excited.
I also probably would have only then seen it once in theaters.
Yeah.
because we
An
have
entry
watched
I'm very
everything
excited
together.
for. Very excited to relive the action. Very excited with Spider-Man Brand New Day ahead of us. It will be directed by the same gentleman who did this. Next week, we are talking all about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings with probably special guest Bill Sheehy. So stay tuned for that. And we'll be talking all about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and maybe one of the MCU's best villains and Wen Wu next week when we take the next steps on the road to Doomsday.
Bye bye.
Stop! Move away!